Shalom, all praises to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to all you brothers out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth and sincerity, risking your lives to do so. It's the brother Yahweh. I got a quick lesson here on a little video I have found a while ago. Found it pertinent to the truth. Hopefully, it's edifying. So let's check it out.
We became, alone among the animals, afraid of death and of future loss. And this was the start of a great tragedy and an even greater possibility. You see, when we become afraid of death, of injury and imprisonment, we become controllable and so valuable in a way that no other resource could ever be. The greatest resource for any human being to control is not natural resources or tools or animals or land, but other human beings. You can frighten an animal because animals are afraid of pain in the moment, but you cannot frighten an animal with a loss of liberty, with torture or imprisonment in the future, because animals have very little sense of tomorrow. You cannot threaten a cow with torture or a sheep with death. You cannot swing a sword at a tree and scream at it to produce more fruit, or hold a burning torch to a field and demand more wheat. You cannot get more eggs by threatening a hen, but you can get a man to give you his eggs by threatening him. This human farming has been the most profitable and destructive occupation throughout history, and it is now reaching its destructive climax.
It's correct, man. It's reaching its destructive climax. Because here we are on the gates of World War III, you have the elect that may or may not already be sealed. And, prophecies are passing daily, man. All right. And this wicked platform that these left handed leaders, being the elites, okay, created is spread among the whole world, among every nation. And society has portrayed a ability to believe that you're free. You have your own space, your own, items and whatnot, in which in reality you were never released from physical bondage. Okay, when I say that, I mean really towards you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and those of you brothers that are spread amongst the other nations as confusions of face. All right, this system is made to make you believe that you really are free and that you have equal opportunity to make a better tomorrow for yourself and your family. Go ahead and grab a first verse here. Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Okay, so first it was chattel slavery. Okay, the Israelites were scattered from West Africa, and were spread amongst the other nations at that point already globally, man. Man, the nation of Israel is as sands of the sea, and most places they were used to establish dominance in growing countries, man. Particularly America. The Southern Kingdom and the Northern Kingdom were both used to construct the foundation of America on free slave labor. Okay, and just because those chains were removed does not mean that you are not a slave any longer. Okay. This is still slavery, man. You know, you barely have enough to make it. You got to continue to rely on some occupation that you really probably care less for. Okay, don't own any land.
Human society cannot be rationally understood until it is seen for what it is: a series of farms where human farmers own human livestock. Some people get confused because governments provide healthcare and water and education and roads, and thus imagine that there is some benevolence at work. Nothing could be further from the reality. Farmers provide healthcare and irrigation and training to their livestock. Some people get confused because we are allowed certain liberties and thus imagine that our governments protect our freedoms. But farmers plant their crops a certain distance apart to increase their yields and will allow certain animals larger stalls or fields if it means they will produce more meat and milk. In your country, your tax farm, your farmer grants you certain freedoms, not because he cares about your liberties, but because he wants to increase his profits. Are you beginning to see the nature of the cage you were born into? There have been 4 major phases of human farming. The first phase in ancient Egypt was direct and brutal human compulsion.
Prior to them getting into this subject, I did want to say one thing. Yeah, man. I mean, that pretty much sums it up. I mean, if that's not America, I don't know what is. All right, they've given you a set amount of freedom. Okay, they allow you to have your own little space. Provide for your family, have a family. All right, but there are certain rules and stipulations that make you unable to be free, man. What's yours is really not yours, is what I'm trying to say. You have to basically provide for the system, man, and it was set up that way on purpose. Okay, it's more lucrative for the establishment to provide what's called democracy. Okay, demon rule, demo, and cracy being rule. All right, because when an individual believes that they're free, they're more productive. They're eager to go to work. They're happy to do as they're suggested. They believe in a common and similar goal. Okay, and this was a very wicked and highly you know insightful platform that was established by these wicked elite in the left hand, being Esau Edom, okay, being the demons and devils that they are. All right, you see it. They've enslaved their own people, their own nation, as well as all the other nations in a model that you know is a grand illusion. It's a scheme. It's bread and circus. They've given entertainment and basic necessities in hand of power, endless wealth, ridiculous amounts of land. You know the works. Haggai 1:6. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. You can go to the grocery store and get you a week's worth of food, 2 weeks. You know, some people are able to go stock up in bulk and be okay. The point is, you have a provider, man. You got a middleman. You can't create your own food. You can't provide for yourself without dependency on the model. on the left hand side on the system, because the system was set up in awareness that in order to control the masses, okay, and to further this new world order agenda, that you would need to rely on them for this nature, for this type of stuff, for food, for water, for clothes, for support, for safety. Okay, let's take a look at what it would cost to purchase an acre of land in America. Three G's, man. I'm sure it's more now. It's crazy, you know. All in all, you have people they're more dependent on providing that hopeful future for their own, for their kids and their next generation. All right, but your social security number and your birth certificate is a signed document of ownership. The state owns you. They would rather you be free than try and force you to do something, because in the illusion of freedom, you are entirely more productive.
Human bodies were controlled, but the creative productivity of the human mind remained beyond the reach of the whip and the brand and the shackles. Slaves remained woefully underproductive and required enormous resources to control. The second phase was the Roman model, wherein slaves were granted some capacity for freedom, ingenuity, and creativity, which raised their productivity. This increased the wealth of Rome, and thus the tax income of the Roman government, and with this additional wealth, Rome became an empire, destroying the economic freedoms that fed its power, and collapsed. I'm sure that this does not seem entirely unfamiliar.
Come on, man. Come on, man. You know, this is modern Rome, man. Okay? If you can't see it, and the Lord's not dealing with you, all right? This is New Egypt. This is New Rome.
After the collapse of Rome, the feudal model introduced the concept of livestock ownership and taxation. Instead of being directly owned, peasants farmed land that they could retain as long as they paid off the local warlords. This model eventually broke down due to the continual subdivision of productive land and was destroyed during the enclosure movement when land was consolidated and hundreds of thousands of peasants were kicked off their ancestral lands because new farming techniques made larger farms more productive with fewer people.
Does that sound familiar? You think back a couple centuries ago, these European Edomites, they did the same thing to the Northern Kingdom. And they said they spoke peace and safety, okay? And they committed mass genocide in order to take what they wanted. And you think that just because we're in a modern or so-called modern society, that anything's different, that these people deserve to be trusted, all right? All right, they'll take what they want at any cost, and that cost even would extend to providing people with a false illusion that they're truly free, that they can have a family, and that there is equality, that the system is impartial. There's equity in America.
The increased productivity of the later Middle Ages created the excess food required for the expansion of towns and cities, which in turn gave rise to the modern democratic model of human ownership. As displaced peasants flooded into the cities, a huge stock of cheap human capital became available to the rising industrialists. And the ruling class of human farmers quickly realized that they could make more money by letting their livestock choose their own occupations.
Yeah, you can be a financial consultant. Yeah, if you play your cards right, you can be a professional athlete. Of course, if you don't do what you're supposed to do and follow the democratic platform, then you're going to work a day-to-day job simply to survive. That's what I do, you know. Or you can go to college and do the same thing by choosing an occupation of your own. But no matter what the case is and what lifestyle you lead, the end result is still the same. You're feeding a beast, an insatiable beast, a system that cannot be satisfied, a system of corruption and deceit.
Under the democratic model, direct slave ownership has been replaced by the mafia model. The mafia rarely owns businesses directly, but rather sends thugs around once a month to steal from the business owners. You are now allowed to choose your own occupation, which raises your productivity, and thus the taxes you can pay to your masters.
Value this time in your life, kids, because this is the time in your life when you still have your choices. And it goes by so fast. When you're a teenager, you think you can do anything, and you do. Your 20s are a blur. 30s, you raise your family, you make a little money, and you think to yourself, what happened to my 20s? 40s, you grow a little pot belly, you grow another chin. The music starts to get too loud. One of your old girlfriends from high school becomes a grandmother. 50s, you have a minor surgery. You'll call it a procedure, but it's a surgery. 60s, you'll have a major surgery. The music is still loud, but it doesn't matter because you can't hear it anyway. 70s, you and the wife retire to Fort Lauderdale. Start eating dinner at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You have lunch around 10, breakfast the night before. Spend most of your time wandering around malls looking for the ultimate soft yogurt and muttering, how come the kids don't call? How come the kids don't call? The 80s, you'll have a major stroke. You end up battling with some Jamaican nurse who your wife can't stand, but who you call mama. Any questions?
You got any questions, man? It's already been decided for you. Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it in a bag with holes in it. And yet, 2/3 of Israel and the nations, of course, are content with lifestyles like this. Okay, that should make you fear the power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Okay, you live a very simple and basic life, whereas you're supporting a model where there's people out there that live lives that you couldn't even dream of. These elites. You don't hear about their lives or how they're living or how much money that their families own, how much land and wealth, physical and not. What do? You go to work every day to pay your bills and buy your simple necessities, to go to sleep and wake up and do it all over again and feed the beast, feed this American model, feed the proxy army agenda, feed the, the wars so that America can go and steal other nations' resources, establish dominance, and further the New World Order agenda.
Your few freedoms are preserved because they are profitable to your owners. The great challenge of the democratic model is that increases in wealth and freedom threaten the farmers. The ruling classes initially profit from a relatively free market in capital and labor, but as their livestock become more used to their freedoms and growing wealth, they begin to question why they need rulers at all. Well, nobody ever said that human farming was easy. Keeping the taxed livestock securely in the compounds of the ruling classes is a three-phase process. The first is to indoctrinate the young through government, quote, education. As the wealth of democratic countries grew, government schools were universally inflicted in order to control the thoughts and souls of the livestock. The second phase is to turn citizens against each other through the creation of dependent livestock.
Before we get to second phase, the first phase is when they get your ass when you're young, man. You know how much thought these elites had to put into this type of shit, man? To be this wicked? That's a fearful thing, man. The Most High has given Esau Edom the power to rule the nations, man, for a short time. All right, look what this man's done in his short amount of time being the ruler of the world. Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there shall ye be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. You know, you get plunged into this system where when you're young, they fill your head with lies, with false history. They tell you that African Americans are just that, African and American, or black. That you have no history that extends farther than being put on ships and shipped to America and around the world to build up the so-called modern world now. That the Latinos and the Native Americans were nothing but savage individuals in a modernized world. There is no history after that because they don't want you to know where you came from. They don't want the sheep to wake up to the reality of their captivity. And they will do anything and everything to keep this the way it is.
It is very difficult to rule human beings directly through force, and where it can be achieved, it remains cripplingly underproductive, as can be seen in North Korea. Human beings do not breed well or produce efficiently in direct captivity. But if human beings believe that they are free, then they will produce much more for their farmers. The best way to maintain this illusion of freedom is to put some of the livestock on the payroll of the farmer. Those cows that become dependent on the existing hierarchy will then attack any other cows who point out the violence, hypocrisy, and immorality of human ownership.
It's exactly what they do, man. They set people against people. So people are too busy fighting with one another over their pointless beliefs that they don't see what's going on in the world. They don't see that everything they've ever been told or taught could possibly be a lie. That they're human assets. What do you go to work and you have a division called human resources? And that's all these wicked elite think of, man, is making insane amounts of money and retaining the power that they already have. And they will do that at any cost. Even their own people, their own nation, they'll kick to the curb. And they did that quick. They let the Israelites out of captivity and chattel slavery. And they were like, we can make crazy money on everybody, including the Israelites. And you got 2/3 of Israel and those spread abroad believing in the systems that they're respectively under this democratic model.
officers positioned Grant face first on the floor with one officer near his head, a second near his back, and a third officer standing nearby. There appeared to be a brief struggle. Then, a 2-year veteran BART officer stands, draws his weapon, and fires.
Freedom is slavery, and slavery is freedom. If you can get the cows to attack each other whenever anybody brings up the reality of their situation, then you don't have to spend nearly as much controlling them directly. Those cows who become dependent upon the stolen largesse of the farmer will violently oppose any questioning of the virtue of human ownership. And the intellectual and artistic classes, always and forever dependent upon the farmers, will say to anyone who demands freedom from ownership, "You will harm your fellow cows." The livestock are thus kept enclosed by shifting the moral responsibility for the destructiveness of the violent system to those who demand real freedom. The third phase is to invent continual external threats so that the frightened livestock cling to the protection of the farmers. This system of human farming is now nearing its end. The terrible tragedies of modern Western economic systems has occurred not in spite of, but because of past economic freedoms.
Okay. Revelations 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Okay. This man knows the system's over, knows it's falling apart. There's no hope for this place, this country, this world. The only hope that the world has is through Yahweh Bashim Yahushai and his chosen elect, and the 1/3. Other than that, we're screwed, man. It's the only hope that we have.
The massive increases in Western wealth throughout the 19th century resulted from economic freedoms. And it was this very increase in wealth that fed the size and power of the state. Whenever the livestock become exponentially more productive, you get a corresponding increase in the number of farmers and their dependents. The growth of the state is always proportional to the preceding economic freedoms. Economic freedoms create wealth, and the wealth attracts more thieves and political parasites, whose greed then destroys the economic freedoms. In other words, freedom metastasizes the cancer of the state. The government that starts off the smallest will always end up the largest. This is why there can be no viable and sustainable alternative to a truly free and peaceful society.
That's where he's wrong, man. The answer is Yahushai. Alright? The answer is the elect. The answer is in these scriptures, man.
A society without political rulers, without human ownership, without the violence of taxation and statism. To be truly free is both very easy and very hard. We avoid the horror of our enslavement because it is so painful to see it directly. We dance around the endless violence of our dying system because we fear the attacks of our fellow livestock. But we can only be kept in the cages we refuse to see. Wake up.
Wake up, brothers and sisters. All right. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come unto you, down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Okay, that's why you got this elitist agenda being furthered so quickly and rapidly. All right, and you got Trump passing these executive orders. All right, he's gonna show you 2/3, man, you children of God, how Esau really gets down, man. How these elites really feel about you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And let them find out you confusion of face brothers too. You know, let them find out that somewhere back in your line through your father that you're of the nation of Israel. You ain't skating through because you look like another nation. You're done, man. This kingdom's done. And as a result, it's going to get extremely crazy and chaotic, man. There's no possible way to fathom how terrible and crazy the things that are about to happen in America and globally. All right, our only hope and our only opportunity to be better is through the Most High and His Son, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and these scriptures, man. Okay, ruling righteously with impartial equity. Okay, once these nations endure their captivity, all right, I'm speaking about every nation except Edom, they're going to be rejoicing, man. They're going to be rejoicing in Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai because they're not going to have to worry about a manipulative demon carrying over an infrastructure, a system that is designed to cause pain and suffering. Okay, the poor will not scream out to the Most High because they're being treated unfairly. There'll be equality. And for you 2/3, Zechariah 13:9, and I will bring the third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver was refined, and I will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord is my God. So only 1/3 is making it out of this place, man. 2/3 are going to be content with this American system. Okay? They're going to be content with, bread and circus, man. They're going to be content with the ability and the illusion that they can make their own decisions, when in reality it's already been pre-assigned to them, not only from the Creator, but by their own government, which they truly believe and trust so much, which is truly exploiting them, robbing and taking and stealing and lying and manipulating, okay, in the most cruelest and in unfathomable ways. All right. I'm gonna end it on this. Romans 13:11. And that knowing the time, okay, this is the time, that now is high time to wake out of sleep, for our salvation is nearer than when we believed. All right. It's time to wake up, Israel. Time to wake up. America is not your rest. It's time to Shawab, Yahweh Ratazah. The Lord's dealing with you. Wake up, out of sleep. That's all I got, brothers. This is the end of this video, want to say all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai, double honors to the other apostles of Great Millstone, and salutations to all you brothers out there on the highways and byways, teaching in truth and sincerity and risking your lives to do so. Hope to see y'all soon. Yahweh Ratazah. Death to America. Shalom.